there, beautiful people, and welcome back to our little corner of calm here on the podcast. I'm so genuinely thrilled you've chosen to spend a few moments with me today. Settle in, maybe grab that favorite mug of tea or coffee, or hey, even just a glass of water, and let's just breathe and have a heart-to-heart. You know, there's this phrase that's become quite popular lately, and for good reason. It's okay to not be okay. And intellectually, most of us probably nod along. Yeah, I get it. Sounds right. But deep down, really, truly deep down, do we actually let ourselves internalize that truth? Or do we often, almost unconsciously, feel this immense, unspoken pressure to constantly be on, to have it all together, to bounce back instantly from every setback, even when we're feeling utterly swamped or just plain heartbroken? I know I definitely fall into that trap more often than I'd like to admit. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you felt a sudden wave of sadness, intense frustration, or just profound, bone-deep exhaustion, and your very first reaction was to push it down, to distract yourself with endless scrolling, or even to silently judge yourself for feeling it? I shouldn't be feeling this way. Look at all I have to be grateful for. Or, this is silly. I just need to snap out of it, pull myself up by my bootstraps. We are so incredibly quick to try and fix ourselves, to rush through the discomfort, to bypass the very emotions that are trying so desperately to tell us something vital about our inner world. And that, my friends, is precisely what we're going to dive into today, the profound yet gentle journey of learning to be okay with not being okay. It's quite the paradox, isn't it? We live in a society that often celebrates resilience, strength, and unwavering optimism. And let me be clear, those are truly wonderful, powerful qualities. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes that intense emphasis can subtly, almost insidiously, translate into a pervasive message that weakness, vulnerability, or even just genuine struggle is, well, undesirable, maybe even a bit shameful. We constantly see those meticulously curated highlight reels on social media. Everyone seemingly thriving, crushing their goals, living their best lives in perfectly filtered snapshots. And then we look at our own beautifully messy, imperfect reality, and suddenly that gap between what we see and what we feel seems to yawn impossibly wide. Oh man, that can really mess with your head, can't it? This creates an almost invisible pressure cooker, a simmering sense that we must constantly mask our struggles, to put on a brave face, to wear that everything's fine mask, even when deep inside, we might be navigating some truly overwhelming and difficult emotions. We might tell ourselves we're just having a bad day, secretly hoping that if we just ignore it long enough, it'll magically vanish into thin air. But as anyone who's ever tried to ignore a leaky faucet or a check engine light knows, ignoring it only makes the mess bigger and the problem more entrenched in the long run. We become masters of avoidance, but at what cost to our inner peace? Maybe take a moment right now and just ask yourself, where in your own life do you feel this pressure to always be on or okay, even when you're not? I remember a specific time not too long ago when I was navigating a particularly rough patch in my life. Everything felt heavy. And yet, almost every single time someone asked me that seemingly simple question, "How are you doing?" my automatic programmed response was fine or I'm good. It was utterly reflexive. I convinced myself I didn't want to burden anyone with my messiness. I certainly didn't want to appear weak or incapable. And honestly, at the time, I wasn't even sure I possessed the words to adequately explain the tangled knot of what I was truly feeling. It was this bizarre, disorienting mix of emotional numbness and an overwhelming constant sense of low-grade dread. One quiet evening, after what felt like an eternity of putting on that brave face, I found myself simply sitting on my living room couch, staring blankly at the wall. And then this incredibly intense, almost suffocating wave of sadness just washed over me. It wasn't directly tied to any specific event or trigger. It was just there. And my first ingrained instinct, as it had always been, was to immediately grab my phone, put on a distracting show, or find anything, absolutely anything, to escape that feeling. But for some inexplicable reason, that night, I just stopped myself. I had this quiet, almost radical thought pop into my head. What if I just let myself feel this? What would happen? And let me tell you, friends, it was profoundly uncomfortable. Seriously, really uncomfortable. My chest felt incredibly tight, my throat ached, and my eyes welled up, blurring my vision, and I just sat there, allowing the tears to stream unchecked down my face. And here's the absolute kicker, the surprising twist. I didn't try to stop them. I didn't judge myself for them. I just cried. It wasn't a pretty picture. It certainly wasn't a sudden, grand epiphany with angel singing. But something profound, something truly transformative, shifted in that very raw moment. It was as if a tiny, almost imperceptible crack had formed in the formidable emotional dam I had unwittingly built around my feelings over the years. It was a genuine act of embracing vulnerability, not as a perceived weakness, but as an authentic, necessary path to something deeper, something more real. And honestly, it felt like an enormous cathartic release. That raw, honest moment was a significant turning point for me in truly understanding that it's okay to not be okay. It genuinely started me on a much deeper journey of emotional healing. It sparked countless personal reflections and led me to seek out and engage in mental health podcast episodes that delved into these very topics. It opened my eyes to the art of dealing with difficult emotions, not by fighting them, but by understanding them. It's about creating ample space for everything we feel, for every single emotion that arises, without judgment, without shame. It's about consistently practicing self-compassion and acceptance, especially during those times when we're feeling our messiest, our most imperfect, our least put together. So, how do we practically start to accept our feelings? One incredibly simple yet powerful way is through the practice of mindfulness for beginners. And please, don't let that term intimidate you. It doesn't have to be some elaborate hours-long meditation session that requires you to pretzel yourself into impossible positions. It can be as genuinely simple as pausing for just a minute or two, taking a few slow, deep breaths, and just gently noticing what's going on inside you. Are you feeling a knot of anxiety in your stomach? A heavy ache of sadness in your chest? A surge of irritation in your jaw? Just observe it. Acknowledge its presence without immediately trying to change it or label it as good or bad. It's simply information, feedback from your inner world. This consistent practice is fundamental to developing deeper emotional self-awareness. Another crucial element that has been incredibly helpful on my own personal self-kindness journey is realizing that true gentle self-care tips aren't just about luxurious bubble baths and expensive face masks, though those are certainly lovely and can be part of it. It's fundamentally about being genuinely kind and gentle with yourself when you're struggling, when you're not at your best. Maybe that means having the courage to say a firm no to an invitation when you're feeling utterly drained and overstimulated. Maybe it means allowing yourself an extra hour of sleep, even if it messes with your perfectly planned morning routine. Maybe it's just giving yourself explicit permission to have a quiet, restorative evening at home, instead of feeling like you constantly need to be productive or social. This compassionate approach ties beautifully into the philosophy of a slow-living podcast mindset, where we consciously choose to prioritize our well-being, our inner peace, and our nervous system over the relentless, often exhausting hustle and grind. This profound shift isn't about becoming passive or giving up on striving for growth. Not at all. It's about profoundly recognizing that personal growth isn't always a linear upward trajectory. Sometimes finding peace in hard times means courageously allowing ourselves to be in those hard times, to fully feel them, to process them, and to trust deep down that we possess the inherent capacity to move through them eventually. It's about building a true, resilient, quiet strength from within, not by suppressing or denying our experiences, but by bravely acknowledging them, holding space for them. This is the very essence of what real talk mental health conversations are all about. It's about consciously choosing to live an authentic life podcast kind of way, where our inner reality aligns with our outer presentation. What is one small, gentle step you might take this week to honor what you're truly feeling, even if it's not okay? So, as you reflect on this, what might this look like for you in your own life right now? Maybe it's allowing yourself the grace to have a really good, messy cry when you genuinely need to, without apologizing for it. Maybe it's reaching out to a trusted friend, a family member, or even a therapist, and just honestly saying, "Hey, I'm really not doing great today. Can I just talk?" Remember, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to present a perfectly packaged solution. Sometimes simply acknowledging what's happening inside you and perhaps voicing it to a safe person is the single most powerful and brave step you can take. We are all, every single one of us, on our own unique healing through conversation journeys, and it is absolutely, unequivocally okay for your path to look completely different from anyone else's. There are so many valuable coping strategies without pressure that you can gently explore and integrate into your life. The absolute key, the guiding principle here, is to always be gentle with yourself. Remember, truly, profoundly, you are not alone in feeling these complex, sometimes overwhelming emotions. This isn't about fixing yourself as if you're broken. It's about deeply connecting with yourself, with all your beautiful, messy, perfectly human feelings. This entire conversation, this gentle exploration, is really about building more mindful mental wellness conversation habits into our daily lives, fostering that elusive inner peace, and wholeheartedly embracing radical self-acceptance. And for all of us here in America, I think this resonates so deeply with our shared experiences of navigating the unique pressures and expectations of modern life, the constant push to achieve, to be busy, to always be more. So, as we gently begin to wrap up our chat today, I want to leave you with this incredibly important thought, something you can carry with you into your week. The next time you feel a difficult, uncomfortable emotion bubbling up inside you, just try to resist that immediate, ingrained urge to push it away, to ignore it, to numb it. Instead, take a deep, grounding breath. Gently acknowledge its presence and whisper to yourself, "It's okay to not be okay. This feeling is here and I can be with it." You might be genuinely surprised, profoundly moved by how much space, how much relief that simple yet courageous act of acceptance can create within you. Thank you, truly, so much for spending this precious time with me today. I sincerely hope this conversation has offered you a little bit of comfort, a gentle whisper of validation, and perhaps a soft, encouraging nudge towards embracing all the authentic, perfectly imperfect parts of yourself. If this conversation resonated with you and you feel inclined to share it with someone who might benefit, that would mean the world. And if you'd like to join us for future chats, consider following or subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us keep this space going. Until our next gentle chat, please be incredibly kind and gentle with yourselves, and always, always remember, your feelings are not just valid, they are an essential part of your beautiful human experience. Take care, everyone.